tell you a story today, and it's actually a very personal story, my story from the last 9 months. And what happened is that I lost my job. And you know what? That may not seem that unusual in these days of rapid change and uncertainty and disruptors to our economy. It may not seem that unusual, but it's traumatic nonetheless. You know, when you'd been at the peak of your career, and maybe, like me, you're your family's principal breadwinner, and your children's university debt is mounting. So that loss, that change, it's huge. You know, you walk into that conference room, you're feeling right up here, you walk into that conference room, there's your boss, there's the head of HR, here's an envelope, handshake, and you leave the conference room feeling just about down there, just about down there. So that's what I faced. How would you have reacted? I wondered, what's my response? You know, should I panic because my source of income is drying up? You know, what next? What next? But I didn't panic. I took this opportunity of being unemployed to step back and to take a hard look at where I'd been, where I'm at now, and what's important for me going forward. And I made a few discoveries along the way. And that's what I'd like to share with you today. Okay? My first discovery was that I had flunked my own personal sustainability test, which was really challenging for me because I've been an advocate, a proponent of sustainable development for many, many, many years. But I wasn't living a sustainable life. I wasn't serving my own needs by dealing properly with the demands of my career and my personal life. Now this strikes me as quite odd because I thought I had everything together. This is what I thought when I was working. I thought I had everything together. I thought I had my life under control. After all, my career was accelerating, I was putting in the hours, I was multitasking productively, but that was rather delusional. I didn't have much under control at all. In fact, it was my hectic lifestyle that was controlling me. I had put way too much emphasis on my career without tending to those people around me, my loved ones, without tending to myself. And this is what I needed to come to grips with. Now, we've all been in intense situations, haven't we? In the workplace, at university, at school, or maybe we're just in the middle of a life crisis, and they do happen, don't they? But we have a choice. We have a choice, and it's how we deal with those intense situations. But what we really want most is to just de-stress. We long to be able to switch off the autopilot, don't we? That's what we need to do. So during the first 6 months of my career break, I really just focused on dialing it back a bit, about relaxing, and not feeling stressed about having to get right back into the game. I made a conscious decision not to feel pressured to start interviewing right away. And the world told me I should. I got to get back in the game. You got to get back to it. You know, don't let them hold you down. Get back to it. And in fact, I didn't want to. And it's not because I'm independently wealthy. No. But I did make a decision. I wasn't going to be pressured to get back prematurely. I wanted to enjoy this time. I wanted to savor it. And that was a real revelation for me. It's fantastic. But also, I was just taking this time to quietly prepare for the next season of my life. Okay? And the next season wasn't quite as fun. It wasn't quite as easy because I needed to take a hard look inside. I needed to take an audit. And during this audit, I looked into my crystal ball. And it didn't tell me that I would have a radical career change. I wasn't going to be signing up for the Culinary Institute, you know. I wasn't going to be doing sacrificial work in a Calcutta slum. I wouldn't be training for a Boston Marathon. But what I wanted to do was just continue dedicating myself to that which I love and I do well. And that is communication and storytelling and marketing and brand building. But what I noticed as I carried on with this audit was how fast my profession was evolving, largely due to advances in technology. It was evolving very fast, and I was starting to slip behind. So my great discovery during this season was that I thought I had been building a really great career in the corporate fast lane, but in fact, I was spinning circles in my safe harbor. I had chosen to stay in a safe harbor. I thought it would be a steady and predictable place to sail my craft, you know, progress my career, bring home that salary that my family needed. Again, that was rather delusional. I don't think it was that safe at all. And I was not adapting fast enough. And what I saw is that some boats were now well in advance of my boat. Those boats were way out there. They weren't even in the harbor. They had surged beyond the breakwater, and they were racing in the open sea. And I thought, how did this happen? How did this happen? And I think there are several reasons. I think right up there, near or at the top of the list, is complacency. We can be in a demanding career and we still grow complacent. You know, we don't ask those questions that we heard earlier. We grow complacent. Well, I've always done it this way. It's worked, or it's worked well enough. We'll just carry on. No need to change. And another reason, we get so super busy facing 1 million daily deadlines that we just don't carve out time to take that deep dive into creativity and innovation. It doesn't happen. Another possibility is that our employers can be rather cost conscious. Does anyone in Hong Kong relate to that? Our employers can be cost conscious, and they might not invest sufficiently in the training that our people need. Or they may not be early adapters of the tools and technologies that our people need to transform their knowledge and their abilities. Okay? And another reason are those life crises I mentioned a little while ago. You know, they can be very distracting. I don't know about you, but I can relate to that. I have faced struggles and very difficult circumstances in the past. And they're not only distracting, they can be all-consuming and they can be debilitating. And in hindsight, I suppose my life's challenges sort of encouraged me to be content in that safe harbor. Maybe it was a place where I could cope, but it was not sustainable for the long term. Okay? So, being out of work has allowed me to reflect on all of these things and think, and eventually led me to probably my greatest discovery. And that is, there has been no better time to be out of work. That sounds rather odd, doesn't it? But perhaps no better time in history to be unemployed. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, let's go back a generation, okay? Let's look at the Japanese salaryman. Diligent, putting in the long hours in the office, you know, not questioning his superiors, not taking unnecessary risks, following all those procedures, right? And then also the person in the United States, the union steel worker in America's Rust Belt. When they lost their jobs a generation ago, there were very few options open to them. Very few options to find new meaningful work at comparable levels of responsibility and remuneration. So, but now let's consider what we have a generation later, okay? And consider all of the online content that is accessible to all of us here today. That content, that information, the insights, the data, the tools that informs us, sparks our imaginations, and can take us to new levels. That simply wasn't available a generation ago. You know, there were no blogs, no white papers, no research repositories, no video how-tos, no templates. But now, all of this content is available. It's there for the taking. All we need to do is source it and screen it and apply it to our needs, okay? And that's what I've been trying to do in the marketing and communications space. And so every day I inject discipline into staying on top of the latest trends with that content that's available to me, and just absorbing it, soaking it in, whether it has to do with website design and SEO or inbound marketing or data analytics, measurement, all those good things, just soaking it in and applying it to what I need. So I have been excelling at my own private university. It took a really radical shakeup for me to take stock of my life. But I've been able to reprioritize and consider life, you know, beyond the workplace. There may come a day when you're out of work, you may make that decision, or someone may make that decision for you. If you need to step back, and if you need to step off that hamster wheel that many of us are going around on so rapidly, so hard, I say do it, and do it at any age. Don't let people or your wallet talk you out of it. Enjoy that rare break. And this time off has also shown me how to approach my career more strategically and sustainably, and to fill the gaps that I might need to fill, so that now I'm well ahead of the game, okay? So as you consider what your needs are, what knowledge you might need, or experience, or skills, what are you going to do about it? Is it perhaps time to enroll in the University of You? Thank you.